Come on in and sit down. You cut the hardcore crew chewing the fat. You cut us shooting the shit. You cut us in the moment.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of In the Moment. I want to give a little bit of a shout out. We've over the past couple of days, we've hired a couple of new admins over in our chat room. I'd like to welcome Jessica Lynn Bedwell. If I'm pronouncing her name right, she is an admin over in our chat room. And she did a great job last night helping us out with the Raw report, and I want to give a shout out and say thank you very much to her. Let's get on with the show, and let's start talking with all the people here. First, I'd like to introduce, he's my partner, he's my sidekick. He is the son of a bitch, Andy. Andy, how are we doing?
I'm doing fine. I hope everyone else is too.
And then we have the incomparable Lance Moss over at youtube.com/Lance Moss TV. Lance, what's up?
Oh, nothing much. Just fine. Glad the weather's starting to cool down a little bit.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. And, of course, last but not least, he is the classic wrestling manager, Joseph Knight. Joe, what's up?
Not much, Rick. It's good to be here tonight.
Well, I want to talk about one of the things that I read a little bit earlier in the week, and TNA is apparently trying to bring some more people back before the ship completely sinks in hopes to turn things around. Now, guys, these are just a few names I want to just shout off real quick. Hulk Hogan. What do you guys think about Hulk Hogan possibly coming back now that he's pretty much done with the WWE?
Death now.
Really? All right.
I think he'll definitely go back because the bloke is an attention-seeking whore, and he's not going to get it from anywhere else.
I don't think they have enough money for him.
But he might go... Well, all right, let me ask Joe this. Do you think that Hogan would go back for less money now that he's pretty much damaged goods, so to speak?
Absolutely not. Here's the situation why. He's going to he's going to try to be on good terms with Vince. Him joining TNA again is not going to help him at all. It's not going to help TNA at all because it's going to really spiral them down the toilet. No, Hogan needs to do what he's doing. Keep apologizing, sit on the sidelines, keep making money from his other little franchises, and hope that Vince can break Triple H and Stephanie down and bring them back in. Because let me tell you guys one thing. Regardless of anything, this was 8 years ago that he did his little thing. But, when he said that word, but he made that company. People could say, yes, Vince did it. Yes, he did. But anytime in the 80s you see WWF, there was Hulk Hogan. So no matter what, and Hogan's been brought back many times, so I don't see, there's no way he should go back to TNA. He should wait it out, go back to WWE. Trust me on this, bank on it, they're going to pull him back in.
Okay. Now, here's another name that I really, again, I have to agree with her. I don't think it's going to happen, but I still wanted to just toss it out. What about AJ Lee? Right now, she's not with the WWE. Obviously, she's doing a little bit of side work. Is there a possibility of her going to TNA?
Ooh, AJ Lee?
AJ Lee, yes.
Again, here's my opinion. AJ Lee is a female wrestler. She's a good wrestler, but she is no John Cena. She is no Randy Orton. She's no, I hate to say.
I agree with you, and let me cut you off. And I have to agree with you wholeheartedly, but keep in mind, she is a WWE talent. And despite what you may think about her, a lot of people still want to see AJ Lee. Now, we know that CM Punk obviously is not coming back because he's in UFC, but if that money really starts to get tight, you got to wonder if, she might say, let me just go in there for a few months and get a little bit of cash. Andy, what do you think?
I don't see AJ Lee going back to the WWE. She's just, she strikes me as she's too lovey-dovey with CM Punk, which probably in a couple of years' time might die down, but I think she thinks that she's done it for the relationship, but really she's done it for him. I don't think she wanted to go, so I don't really see her now turning her back and changing her mind, because if that's the case, she shouldn't have left in the first place. Because
I was talking about TNA, not necessarily.
Her excuse for leaving wrestling is that they were away from each other too much and she couldn't handle it. So I just don't see her going to anything that CM Punk's not going to be a part of. If anything, she'll probably be on his training camp with his UFC training or something like that.
And Rick, let me chime in something real quick. Even if they needed any cash, okay, if they needed any cash, they can always book themselves on an independent promotion for what TNA will pay them let's say in 3 months. Some mark will pay them in a one show for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So let's say if, and Lance will agree with me, let's say AJ says, oh shit, I need 15,000. Okay, let me do an independent show. There'll be some mark that will pay it, and bing, bada bing, they get their 15,000. Thank you. They'll be like the Hindus at the local quickie mark. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I was going to say possibly AJ Styles, but, AJ's already made it more than clear that he's happy with ROH and New Japan Pro Wrestling. What about somebody's like the Motor City Machine Guns? Now, these guys are somewhat popular, but they're not really over the top anywhere else. Is there a chance of TNA bringing them in? Lance, I'll go to you.
I'd say possibly, because the Machine Guns aren't quite up at the level of these other people. I mean, no disrespect to them, but they're just barely right below them. They're at the very top of the level that's right below these guys.
All right. Andy, over to you.
I think TNA are more than happy to pick any talent up they can pick up, to be honest.
All right, and that's another subject I think we're going to have to get to after. Joe, your thoughts? Motor City Machine Guns, yes or no?
For me, no. They're not going to swim back to a sinking ship.
Well, okay, right now TNA did say they're trying to bring back some talent or bring other talent in, and that's got to be the question that Andy brought up, which is a very fair point. Who could they possibly bring in?
Do you know what I think? Sorry, Joe. Do you know what I think TNA are actually doing? And it's not written on any of the dirt sheets or anything, but I think they're having. Do you know how independent wrestlers go from week to week not knowing where the next paycheck's coming from? I think that's what TNA are turning into. We'll have you on a show this week. We won't pay you next week because you're not on the card. We'll have you the following week. We'll pay you again. I think they're paying them like performance paychecks, where although you're classed as on the books, you might not work for 5 weeks, so you don't get paid.
And you know what? I'm going to switch gears a little bit because we're on TNA. Well, I'd like to talk about TNA. There is more TNA/Destination America issues. It's been reported, obviously, it has been reported that things have not been so well between the two companies. There have been several rumors that the two could be parting ways at the end of this month if things don't improve for TNA. There's a lot of speculation that the Global Force Wrestling takeover angle will continue after the clause, if the clause does go through. So is this just Destination America just trying to get a few extra shows in and get rid of TNA in the same process?
How it seems to me, I don't watch TNA as often as I used to, I'll be perfectly honest, but when I do watch it, it's still a good product to watch. It's probably one of the best out there compared to WWE. They're a good second to the WWE. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to upset a lot of people now. As far as I'm concerned, TNA is a far better product than Ring of Honor will ever be. That's my honest opinion. But I think they've got the same problems that they had with ECW. Backers won't back them for whatever reason, and the TV company are looking for that escape from their contract by saying that they're not producing the goods. I've not seen any lack of quality product from TNA. Stars have gone, yes. The product is still very watchable. Much more watchable to me than Ring of Honor. I still look at Ring of Honor as a dirty backstreet, bad put-together wrestling organisation. Now, I'm going to throw it over to Joe, because I know Joe's into that sort of thing, but I do not get the idea of a black ring canvas, black ring apron, and black ropes. Because it does not look good on TV. I don't know what your views are, but if they just put red ropes up or something, it just looks shit.
Well, I never use, pretty much, I try not to use like what I was planning to do for future shows was a red canvas with black ropes. Or a red canvas with a different color type of ropes. I even was thinking of really going old school and getting red, white, and blue ropes. But, you know, it all have to match, and you would know this, Andy, it has to match have to look good on camera. So, but, you know, Rick, if we could go back to TNA, you said bring in all these stars, right, to help the company. Let me ask you this real quick question. You know, what good is it going to do if still nobody out there, a majority of fans, don't know what TNA is?
You know, Joe, and that was why I think TNA was trying to do what they were trying to do, and that's why I was saying maybe somebody like Hogan, some of the other bigger stars that's no longer with the WWE for one reason or another, just to get that star power that, you know, I think it needs right now. You know, right now the whole GFW TNA thing, it's kind of working, but it's really not doing TNA any favors. I think it's more doing Global Force Wrestling favors.
Can I do a quick little analysis on TNA right now real fast?
Sure.
Okay. Here's the problem with TNA. No matter who they bring in, they don't know how to promote. They don't know how to or advertise. They don't know how to do merchandise. They don't know how to do things that Vince McMahon knows how to do. Basically now, you know, Triple H and Stephanie goes. But let's look at, you know, I'm going to make it short. Look at Vince of the 80s. He took all these regional guys, okay, because that's who they were, regional guys, Piper, Hogan, and everybody, brung them in and made a marketing machine out of them. That's what TNA needs. You could bring in John Cena, you could bring in CM Punk, and those two guys will know never to step foot in a TNA ring because they know that'll be the death bell in their careers because they don't know how, the company does not know how to advertise and promote. No matter who they bring in, it can bring God himself in. Hell, they could bring Godzilla in.
Godzilla!
Thank you, Lance. You know, they couldn't promote. They couldn't advertise. Nobody would know. So
okay. Well, we kind of jumped around from subject to subject, and I would like to get to another subject. Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo, apparently they did a little bit of bashing at each other. I guess Eric Bischoff was the one who fired the first shot. This is during an interview and claimed that Vince Russo went into business for himself and changed the script while Eric Bischoff was away at a father's funeral. Now, of course, this is just a very short, brief description of what happened, but Russo knew there was already a story in place. They had already talked to one of the TNA advisors. Hulk Hogan was involved. Vince Russo was involved. It was a four-way conversation, and they all agreed to this. Now, eventually, once Bischoff was gone, Russo, decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to do my own thing. And this is at Bash at the Beach. Russo responded on one of his podcasts, and again, very, very short, said that Bischoff lied about most of the events. He said that the storyline was already written in place, and that Bischoff was just jealous because Vince was doing a better job than he was, and he wanted his job back. It's to me, I could be wrong, but it felt that Eric Bischoff was telling a little bit more of the truth, and Russo, as always, just seemed to be a little bit butthurt. Lance, your thoughts?
Well, you say this is at Bash at the Beach?
Correct. I forget. I don't know which year it was, so forgive me if I'm a little bit off.
That'd probably be towards the end of WCW, and the fact that these two bastards couldn't get along could be telling you if your two main guys are fighting, could be a sign that your company's fixing to die, but that's just my personal opinion. And, well, I think they're both still pissed that their height of their fame is over, and they're just blaming the other one for it. Like, no, you did it. No, you did it. No, you did it. No, you did it.
And, a little bit, I can understand that to a point. Vince Russo, in short, was saying stuff like, "Oh, gee, if I had went against all the policies, I would have been fired. Hulk would have killed me." Just really outlandish stuff, and I mean, I don't know, Joe. Maybe you could correct me on this, but I'm sure as one of the creative writers at that point in time, TNA was willing to say, "Look, let's just run with it. He did what he had to do. We'll yell at him in the back, but that's about it." Now Vince said nothing happened. He never got yelled at. Never got for either one of those situations.
And again, you're looking at a situation that it's TNA. They wouldn't know how to do anything. It's.
But hell, at this point, it's WCW. Because,
this is WCW we're talking about.
Which is a bigger clusterfuck than TNA.
Well, I think at this point, they were all grasping straws, so they didn't know what really to do. So I think they were just letting things go ahead just to see how they can get out of this mess. Again, I at this point, really, at that point, I think they were just grasping straws. Hopefully something. They were pulling a TNA before TNA. They were just grasping at straws to hope that something clicks to get more people to come back. And, we saw how well that worked.
Andy, your thoughts of the Eric Bischoff, Vince Russo little spat, as I'd like to call it.
I haven't seen about it or heard about it, but I watched the little clip on the network about Monday Night Wars Volume 2, where they show clips of Eric Bischoff telling his parts of the story, and I know he's got issues with Paul Heyman. I think it's one of them things, there's two sides to every story. I think they're both telling the truth. You just have to pick random bits from each person's story and make up your own mind. I don't trust Eric Bischoff. Although I do like the guy, I don't trust that guy as far as I could throw him, because I think he could tell you that he'd got an orange ball in his hand when it was actually green, and he'd convince you at the end of his conversation that he'd actually got that colour ball that he was talking about.
Very fair point. On to our next subject. Over the past week, there was a lot of rumors about the third Shield member. And even Lance thought that it was going to be Baron Corbin. And the whole internet was just feeding off of that. And I hate to say it, for me, it did not fit. It was like putting a square peg in a round hole. It just made no sense to me, because Baron Corbin has been being pushed and pushed and pushed as this lone wolf, as this heel. And I think that's how he's going to originally come up in the WWE. Now, there have been some situations where somebody came up as a babyface and switched to a heel. One of them was Big E Langston. This past Monday, Baron Corbin was not the third guy. I still think it's Randy Orton, because the Wyatts attacked Randy Orton without provocation. Andy, your thoughts?
I've just typed in the chat room who I think it's going to be.
Andy, I doubt that. So,
do you know why? Because Finn Balor, whatever his name is, has had a run-in in their independent days with my friend Kevin Fatfucker Steen, or Owens, whatever he wants to call himself. They've got no way of bringing that Finn Balor in to have a feud with my fat friend than bringing him in as another part of S.H.I.E.L.D., because when he hasn't got his body paint on and stuff, he comes out wearing the black ring attire so he could fit straight in, and I know they're trying to push him in, but at the moment they've got no angle for him to come in, so he's the obvious answer.
Well, let me answer you this. I do agree with what you're saying. First off, they've had plenty of feuds down in NXT. Secondly, Finn Balor even went on record saying that he really has no desire to go up to the higher level, which, of course, may not be his choice. But even still, I don't see that, especially after what happened on Monday. It just, if it was other situations where he was like really trying to get up there, or, and if he wasn't the current NXT champion, then I'd say yes. Now, we've seen NXT champions come up, hold the title. One person, again, is your friend, Kevin Owens. But I just don't see that happening. Joe, your thoughts?
No, I have to agree with you. I just don't see that happening right now. Pretty much simple answer.
See, I think the reason that the Wyatt family actually jumped on Orton, because if you notice, right before that, who did you see him talking to?
Oh, if I'm not mistaken, he was talking to one of the S.H.I.E.L.D. members. That's true. Both of them, yeah.
So the Wyatt family sees this thinking, hey, this is probably the guy they're going to get. Let's beat the shit out of him. We're going to do this 2 or 3 more times. And then, because this is like a angle as old as damn time in this business. So, and then they're going to bring up Corbin from NXT because that's the one guy they have not had on screen.
You know, and again, I'm sorry, and I know a lot of people think this, but I really have to doubt that because we're just under 2 weeks away, and I don't think there will be enough time to develop a storyline. I think, if anything, right now, Randy Orton's going to come back pissed off because Randy Orton obviously doesn't take that kind of shit lying down. That's his character. So obviously, I think it makes so much sense for him to be the third guy.
But, Rick, let me just throw that in. By throwing him into the group, like of the Shield especially, it kind of dilutes Reigns and Ambrose, because then it looks like another version of Legacy.
Well,
I think what they should do, and I agree with Lance, we still got 2 weeks away. Somebody else tries to talk to the Shield members, they get beaten up. Another person, finally, somebody can pop up and say, hey, it could be a mystery person that can join. They need to do it. It can't be no more guessing. We can't just come up and say, okay, guess what? Yep, Randy Orton's this. It throws everything off. I'd rather be surprised. I'd rather not be Randy Orton. I'd rather it not be, somebody else. I'd rather it be a surprise and say, okay, here it is, and it's Sting or it's somebody else.
Well, first off, it can't be Sting, because Sting is going to be already in a match. I understand in the direction that you're going, but, again, I don't think that he's going to be a part of the Shield. I think it's going to be like the Shield brothers and Randy Orton just for this pay-per-view. And that's just my thoughts.
I've got an audible feeling it's going to be, they brought the Dudley boys back to revamp up the...
Don't you dare say Spike.
No, I just think they're going to bring somebody back like the Dudleys. A person who's as well known as the Dudleys, a lone person. To be perfectly honest, somebody that's going to be there 1 minute and gone the next. Not somebody that's going to be there for the long haul, because they need to get Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. They need to get the crowd behind them. So have somebody who's big to give them that bit of a, whoa, look who's here. And then they can probably road dog or somebody, and then they can just disappear again.
And again, I think we're all going to have to agree to disagree, because it just, to me, it doesn't fit. It will mock my words, and I'm calling it right now. Randy Orton is your third guy. That's just the way I see it.
Here's one guy that I would have loved. I would have loved to see him transcend into the Shield, at least for that one night. And a person that fits the character, that has the renegade attitude, and if he could wrestle one more time, Stone Cold would be the perfect addition to the Shield, at least for that one night. Because he's got the lunacy, he's got the attitude of Dean Ambrose, and he's got the, never give up attitude like Reigns.
Well, all right, let's move on. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but former general manager John Laurinaitis has been teasing a return to the WWE via Twitter. Now, I don't know if you guys already know about this, but Mr. Laurinaitis is now dating the Bella Twins' mother.
Oh, my God.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yes.
My name is John Laurinaitis, and now I'm your daddy.
Basically, yes. There was a picture of the Bellas. I'm sorry, no, it was Nikki Bella, John Cena, John Laurinaitis, and the mother. I don't know the mother's name, so forgive me if I'm a little bit ignorant on that.
That Bella bitch.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that Bella bitch.
Talk about keep it in the family. So that means both of the Bellas, John Cena, and possibly, if he could get better,
Daniel Bryan,
their careers are there for as long as they want them, because John Laurinaitis is the chief hirer and firer.
Well, I think that Daniel Bryan, obviously, his career's over, his wrestling career's over, but I can honestly see him doing other things inside the company. I'd like to get on to our last subject, which, of course, is the Stone Cold podcast with Edge and Christian. And I have to say, this was an all-right interview. I don't think it was one of Austin's better interviews. Edge did most of the talking, while Christian just kind of chirped in here every now and then. Edge talked about his retirement and how he said he had a year before his retirement, before he had to retire or before he had to resign. He still had a year left in his contract. Austin, however, talked about his retirement as well and stated it was a bit harder for him to adjust, and he would just drive around for hours and hours for things to do because he was so used to being on the road. And then, obviously, they talked about today's tag team division. Edge and Christian talked about the Dudleys and how it was great to see them back in the company. Ed said the division has ups and downs and gets very disheartened when tag teams hit the bottom. I'd like to get everybody's thoughts here. Andy, your thoughts?
The thing that came out in the interview, which I thought was really good, because although I've been a wrestling fan for too many years, I didn't realise that watching wrestling, I knew there was something missing in the tag team division, but I didn't know what it was. And Edge and Christian hit the nail on the head. They don't know. Tag team wrestlers, today's standards, do not know how to work a tag team gimmick, like keep the person on your side of the ring. Don't throw them against the ropes where they can tag their partner. Do dirty deals on, like get your partner to come in and poke the person in the eyes while the referee's got his back turned. All the gimmicks that normally happen with old school tag team wrestling just does not happen with the new guys. And he's basically said because they are just thrown together as a tag team, they don't know how to work a tag team handle, and that's true.
I think he was more referring to the earlier spots where they were kind of doing like Jerry show and Miz show, which I have to agree with you there completely. I think that right now the tag team division is a bit on and up. We're starting to see a lot of three-guy teams coming around. The Wyatts was a great match. Ambrose and Reigns, a great match because they started off with the Shield. New Day, whether you like them or hate them, they still kind of fit. Those are just a few ones. This is something that's been going through my head. Now that we have all of these three-member teams, which, okay, I'm sure a lot of people don't approve or disapprove of. That's their choice. But you got to wonder, Survivor Series is coming up. Could they be setting up for a Survivor Series? Because right now, if you look at it, there's 4 or 5 tag teams that could very well be in a 3-man Survivor Series version rather than a 5-man Survivor Series version. Because if we look at the 5-man Survivor Series, to me, never worked. It was never something that I could buy. And I know a lot of people saying, well, Survivor Series is one of the bigger 4s, yada, yada, yada. I disagree wholeheartly. Lance, over to you.
Well, I am actually a fan of how they used to have it, all of the elimination tags. I can't stand the current tag situation, but that's just me because I think Vince fucked it up. But yeah, I mean, if they had a 3-on-3 elimination type style thing, that could actually work.
Joe, your thoughts? You can also on the Survivor Series concept and as well as the Edge and Christian.
You know, as far as the Survival Series, I was always a fan of the 5 versus 5, the classic version when it first started. I think they should never change it. They should leave it. That's why the pay-per-view is called Survival Series. They should leave it that way. As far as Edge and Christian, I have to agree with Andy. It would come to a point where tag teams are not like the Hart Foundation, the British Bulldogs. You know, they're all pretty much cookie cutter. They don't have that mystique, the psychology. You don't see them like what the Hart Foundation used to do, like distract the referee while the other one, or Brett came in and hit the other guy and then roll back out. You don't see that science. So I'm kind of actually bored with the tag team division. Seeing the Dudleys back in, it's kind of like having the Road Warriors come in and beat up on all the other smaller tag teams, because the Dudleys are far superior than every tag team that they have now. So, yeah, the way I see it, again, if Edge and Christian could, I think they will come back and really bring up the tag team division.
Yeah, and I think right now the Dudleys obviously, I'm not sure if they're going to get another title reign. They may not. It really depends on which direction the WWE wants to take them. They might have just brought them in to help push the tag team division to the very next level. And you talked about science as far as tag team science, and that was another thing that Edge did talk about on the during the podcast. He said that during the classic TLC matches that Edge and Christian had with the Dudleys as well as the Hardys, the first one was great, but after that they had to start using a lot more science, a lot more psychology, otherwise those would have been very, very boring. But right now, I think we're going to wrap things up. And now, fans, we want your thoughts. What do you think about the Stone Cold Podcast with Edge and Christian? Make sure you put your comments in the comment section below. And please, make sure you follow us over at Facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio. And up in that upper right-hand corner, there is a little annotation where you can subscribe to us at HWR Show over at YouTube.com. He is the son of a bitch, Andy. Andy, what do you got going on, and where can people find you?
Yeah, I've got some investigations coming up. Got one this Saturday, then there's a break for a week, and then there's one the following Saturday, then we got the Halloween investigation. You can find us at www.stokehaunted.com. The only problem, we've just been talking about tag teams, and I'll keep it short. The only problem I always find with tag teams, i.e. the interview with Edge and Christian, when you've been in a tag team, you always seem to have that tag team wrestlers that have both been big in their own right when they've split. I can't think of any at all.
We have the incomparable Lance Moss, and you can find him over at youtube.com/LanceMossTV. Lance, what do you got going on?
Album reviews, NASCAR discussion videos, redneck Gorman cooking videos, musical equipment reviews. Every Wednesday, I go live at 7. Tomorrow I'm going live at 7 Central, so y'all come check it out. And, well, hit me up on Twitter. It's at LanceMossTV. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. So, yeah, I'll see y'all later.
And finally, we have the classic wrestling manager, Joseph Knight. Joe, where can everyone find you?
Yep, they can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/JosephKnightManager, or they can follow me on Twitter at JKnightCWA. Probably going to gear up for another Real World of Rants show soon. We got a couple of topics, but Rick will have to pick a date.
All right, will do. So for everyone here, I am your hardcore host, Rick Head, saying we'll see you when we see you.
Thank you for listening to this edition of In the Moment. Make sure you follow us at any one of our locations, whether it's YouTube, Dailymotion, and now SoundCloud.com under the name HWR Show. Until the next time, this is your hardcore host, Rick Head, saying we'll see you when we see you.